the Dorian Mode. Business in the front, party in the back. It's time to explore this mode and some of the chords that complement it. It's also time for Melodic Dictation. We are Music Student 101. And now your hosts, Jeremy Burns, the Tortured, and Matthew Scott Phillips, the Torturer.
Behold, here and forthwith,
the return of Music Student 101.
the very same.
Hey, Matt, what's going on, bud?
Not much, Jeremy. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
I was going to ask you what's been going on in your life, but I'm just going to start with something that I know that's going on in your life.
Okay.
I was pleasantly surprised to see that you and our friend Jessica Brophy
Oh, yeah.
had a great little collaboration. Tell us a little bit about what you guys have been up to.
Oh, well, she posted on social media one of her paintings a while back called the Forgiven One. Go check out Jessica Brophy at Free Indeed Art. It's really awesome, this painting. And I saw it, and I thought it was really cool, so I sat down and wrote a short, it's kind of about a 3-minute little musical accompaniment, just trying to express some of the things I saw in her painting.
Yeah.
Which is really awesome. It's this painting of really briefly, it's done with charcoal and ink, I think, or something like that. And it's this woman who's sort of, it's almost like this baptismal. There's this water flowing onto her face, and really, really cool. So I just sat down and wrote a little bit of music about it. It kind of came out of me out of nowhere. That kind of thing happens sometimes.
It just inspired you.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah. And so I sent it to her, and she really liked it, and she's made this little video of the painting with the music overlaid on it, and has sent it around now, and it was really fun. I was really glad to be able to do something based off of her art like that.
If you go to Free Indeed Art and check out most of Jessica's work, she does a lot of landscapes and some of the most realistic oil paintings of pets and animals, and all kinds of animals. But this was very unique among a lot of the stuff I had seen from her. Like, it's really just beautiful.
Yeah, and I had
water effects.
Right, yeah, and just in some of the comments on some of the stuff she posts, I had threatened a couple of times to write music based on some of her artwork. Finally went and did it, and yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. So
well, I know she was pleased, and everyone else was pleased. That's totally cool. Very cool collaboration.
I'm glad. Yeah, I used for the actual sounds. I used a program called Omnisphere. Which is a sample technology run through Pro Tools. So got a great little sort of spacey, watery kind of sound out of it, which I thought was appropriate.
Going for the watery sounds.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, whenever you're trying to interpret somebody else's artwork like that, you want to get as many connections as you can, I guess. Thank God she didn't ask me to analyze the chords.
Yeah, right.
But
you have to get back to her on that.
You have to get back to her on that. Well, there's some mediant motion going on in the chords and some other theory stuff, but let's not spoil the magic by talking about that. Just go check out that. Go check out her painting, which is incredible and inspiring. And
I think she has videos on Facebook and other social media, probably free.
She does.
Art, yeah.
She does. Yeah. And she will paint stuff for you. She takes commissions.
She painted my piano.
Yes.
She will paint your anything, I imagine. I'm not gonna put words in her.
I don't know if she even still uses the tagline, but she used to say, "I paint what you love," which I just thought was the greatest tagline ever.
Something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, isn't that just the best slogan you've ever heard?
I turn what you love into art.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it was. I turn what you love into art. I take what you love and turn it into art. Yeah.
Jessica, I hope you've enjoyed this little plug. You deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're actual fans.
We're true fans.
She's not paying us for ad time or anything. So that's been going on. What's been going on with you?
Well, remember a few episodes ago, do you remember when I said I was going to try and kind of hone my skills by seeking master classes from some of the local greats?
I do remember that.
Well, I can't remember if I even brought this up since then, but I did get in touch with Taylor Prop.
Oh, man, bassist extraordinaire.
One of our colleagues from UAB and fellow student of Cleveland Eaton.
He is, and oh man, is he just so good. Even back when we were all in college, he was just like the best bass player there.
Yeah, he was doing that jazz ensemble.
Yes,
and really getting those licks in, man. Really listening to what Cleve was saying.
Yeah, doing something right.
Yeah, totally. I just always admired his technique and his ability to speak with his instrument.
Absolutely.
And I want to get better at that. And we're on our third lesson. And I learned a couple of cool things. What we're doing is he's a big fan of Jaco Pastorius.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he's referenced me to this great little hour-long or longer video of Jaco, kind of instructional video that has exercises, and he sent me a PDF that came with it. So I'm just kind of going through this video and running all the exercises, and he's recommending some that he wants me to prioritize on.
Sure.
And one of the cool ones I found, if you like, I'll play it for you.
Please.
You know how usually when we're doing our scales, we do kind of like, say we're in C major.
Good old C major.
We might go like up one and then up three and then back three, like like up three and back one, like
Sure.
Just as an exercise. And if you can speed that up, you can get some kind of cool soloing techniques out of that.
Sure, yeah.
He was showing me this thing where he's using sixths.
Oh my.
So he's doing this. Listen to this. You heard that last one was definitely a six, but now if you try to go back down, you're going to trip down the stairs. My fingers are tripping all over each other. I have to work on that. But that's just a cool way to look at it. And I found that Taylor, when he's soloing and harmonizing, he almost uses the sixth interchangeably with the third. Not interchangeably, but he says there's times where you can just throw that sixth in there.
Yeah.
And it has a third effect, and that's true, you know?
Yeah, well, yeah, they are inversions of each other.
Yeah.
So, and I think we've even talked about on this. Yeah, there's kind of on this podcast. There's sort of the same dissonance level, right, between a third and a sixth. Yeah, fun stuff.
And one more cool thing that I picked up that this isn't like a Taylor or Jaco thing. This is just something that I probably could have picked up on a long time ago, and wish I'd known this when we did our ear training for Mixolydian.
Sure.
Because it was just as simple as this. I saw a scale, just brushing up on the scales. And on the scales in this little book, they didn't go back to 1. They went to 7 and stopped. And when I did that and went back down, I really noticed the 7-ishness.
Yeah.
Okay, so dig this. So if I go C major. I think when we land back on the 1, it kind of smears the 7th. Once the 7th has done its job and we're on the 1, we kind of forget what happened maybe.
Yeah.
But if you actually go... That's a major 7.
Wow.
And then Mixolydian flat 7.
Yeah.
So when you leave out that last 8th note, the octave, you actually get a feel for the 7-ishness.
The 7-ishness.
Did you feel that at all?
Absolutely. Yeah. It sounds jazzier that way to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in jazz, the 7th is basically considered a consonance, right?
Right.
I mean, that's your basic chord, right?
The 7th chord.
Yeah, not the triad, but the flat 7 chord, the dominant 7 chord. It is your basic chord.
That's your home base.
Yeah.
Strangely, in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And then one other thing I'll say about Taylor before we move on, he has this great version that he did, like an arrangement on the bass of "What a Wonderful World" by Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have me kind of working on that.
Oh, nice.
And this way I'm gonna get to know some of these crazy chords. You only have 4 strings on the bass.
Right.
So if you want to do a 9th chord, you got to pick some choices.
You got to make some choices.
Make some choices, and he's gonna get me there. And if you want to check out what I'll be working on, go to Taylor Prop. That's Propp.
Yep.
Get on YouTube. Look up Taylor Prop. What a Wonderful World solo bass.
Yeah.
And you'll see my new teacher / colleague / old school friend.
Yeah.
Doing some really amazing stuff that I'm going to be trying to do.
/ best bass player we know personally.
Indeed. And the man's got the funk. He's got the groove. He's in the pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So shall we move on?
Well, yeah, let's get into it. So, what's going on in review land?
Review land. Well, not a whole lot. There's no new reviews to speak of.
Oh, how did that happen?
I guess we just either I'm not. I don't know.
We don't know how that happened.
But that just means someone needs to get out there and review us.
Yeah, somebody needs to get out there and review us.
For better or for worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we do have a new Patreon patron.
Well, that's excellent.
And that's always good news.
Yes.
Several, actually, but one of them is our friend Chris Woods.
Yes, good old Chris Woods. And thank you, Chris, for becoming a Patreon patron.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that at
patreon.com/musicstudent101.
Absolutely. And we've got multiple tiers and multiple goodies at different tiers.
Yeah, check it out. You'll see the cool things you can get. Watch cool, listen to episodes that have never been released that are sacred to the Patreon site.
Yep. See some videos of Jeremy playing.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it's great.
Community.
Yeah, so go check that out. But Chris says, about me, I'm 52, 28 years into a career in software architecture. I picked up my first guitar and amp in 1987. Mm-hmm. Wow. An Epiphone S300 and a 15-watt Fender Sidekick. Nice. Mm-hmm. I banged around mostly Metallica, Black Sabbath, 70s and 80s hard rock and metal. I got pretty decent at palm-muted power chord chugging and nothing else.
It's very important in heavy metal.
Absolutely. I played off and on over the years, mostly off. I worked as a flute maker in the early 90s and absolutely loved it. And could have worked the rest of my life there, but the internet started and I'm good with computers and that's more financially rewarding.
I'm curious about the flute maker thing, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. How do you get into a career as a flute maker?
I told him if he had any of his old flutes, play something for us or send me one. I want to see it. I want to check it out.
Absolutely. I tend to immerse myself fully in my interests. For decades, that's been technology and software development to the detriment of my first marriage. Oops. Mm-hmm. I'm burned out on that, and since the start of the year, music has been my jam. So now I'm taking guitar and piano lessons, and I'm a theory nerd.
Welcome to
Wonderful.
the club.
Yeah, absolutely. My new full-size keyboard shipped from Sweetwater yesterday. Sweetwater is a musician company. They make musical instruments and recording equipment and stuff.
Sweetwater Music out of Indiana. I cannot say enough good things about Sweetwater. I told him, my dude, David Maikaldadze, has been my dude for like 2 decades now. Yeah. And I love him. He's awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're awesome.
Free tech support.
Yep. I have a bunch of guitars, some native instrument gear and libraries, Logic Pro, and 5-ish hours a day that I spend in this crazy thing now.
That's dedication.
Absolutely. I am keenly interested in the intersection of music and technology. Keep up the good work you're doing. I'm only on episode 36. Stage fright, the little break in the Counterpoint series. Oh, I do remember that.
A much-needed break from the Counterpoint series.
Yeah, Counterpoint got heavy, so we took a break. So I've got a lot yet to listen to. Oh, you've taken your first step into a larger world here, Chris.
2 fun things about what he just said. I told him, I was like, Metallica, yeah. Black Sabbath, oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was... a little ashamed to say that the first time I heard War Pigs was on Faith No More, the real thing. And I was like, well, they did it justice, but Black Sabbath, it was just so raw and so awesome the way they did it. Yeah. And another fun thing, he's probably hearing on that episode that Ozzy Osbourne of Black Sabbath had stage fright.
Yeah. Amazing. And one of the most iconic metal singers of all time, and had stage fright.
Yeah, totally. Which is, it goes to show anyone can do it, right?
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, Ozzy, I think, resorted to whiskey and booze to...
Yeah, his solution may not necessarily be your solution.
The healthy choice.
Yeah.
But anyways, thanks again, Chris. And I love he's got what it takes to be a musician when it comes to just like digging into something and really just kind of going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well,
especially theory.
Yeah, the more time you devote to anything, the easier and more comfortable it's going to come to you.
Absolutely. Okay, we got a listener mail. This is going to be interesting.
Okay,
and this is going to kind of lead into what we're talking about today a little bit.
Oh, good. Okay, So Sailesh Pujara says, your website and episodes are very interesting, useful for all levels. Well, thank you. I am just a listener of classical jazz, world music. I mess around with learning chords, progressions, scales, modes. I try to understand compositions and learn phrases from legendary musicians. It's a big puzzle. The keyboard, the more you dig or swim, the more it opens up, more like space travel, I guess. Fun analogy.
The final frontier.
Yeah, for many of us, absolutely, yeah. It shocks me sometimes that so much is done with 5 to 10 fingers.
You and me both.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe. Or vocal, and I am still just stuck on scales, chords, arpeggios, etc. Keep up the good work. Kind regards and blessings. Well, thank you for the vote of confidence, and yeah, don't worry. Just stick with those scales and chords and arpeggios. Things do open up.
Yeah, just add things as you go.
Absolutely, yeah.
Even the hike up the greatest mountain begins with one step.
Indeed. And Sailesh did have a question.
Yeah, it was interesting. He had first reached out to me saying, please advise the name of the hexatonic scale or 6-note scale with the following scale degrees or notes. You ready?
Yes.
Dare you try and play it?
Dare I try to play it? Yeah, so we have in scale degree numbers, we have 1, flat 2, flat 3, sharp 4, and then let's see, 6 and 7. So let's see if I can do that again. Doesn't sound like it.
And he has the notes. If you want to do it in C, he has the notes right here.
Yeah. So let's see. Ooh, this is I think. Yeah, there you go.
Very strange. And it's hard to find that combination of flats. It's hard to find anything with that many flats in it that makes sense. Because initially, he said, I think flat 5 was what he was talking about. But I just said, hey. Well, he said sharp 4, but I said, well, if you look at the Locrian hexatonic scale,
yes,
we have a 1, a flat 2, a flat 3. So far, so good. Flat 5, which I would say sharp 4. Right?
Yep.
And then the only difference is you have a flat 6 instead of a natural 6, and then a flat 7. So closest I could come at the time was Locrian hexatonic. But then I found this super Locrian scale, which is actually 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7. That's a whole lot of flats. But
that's more than 6 notes, too.
If you make a hexatonic scale out of that, then maybe you'll have something closer to what he's actually looking for.
Yeah, so maybe so.
We're in the Locrian vibe.
Yeah. That's pretty close. Come here. It almost kind of reminds me of an Indian raga, like of an Indian classical raga.
Yeah. Anytime I hear that flat 2, that's kind of what I think. Or a flat 2 to flat 3. Yeah. Or even crazier, a flat 2 to a natural 3.
Yeah. Fun stuff. Kind of stuff. As far as there's a lot of hexatonics that kind of tickle my brain when it comes to this kind of stuff. But yeah, I think you're pretty close with Locrian hexatonic.
That's as close as I could find.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
And that is a scale I could not play, just you asked me to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd have to sit there and do the math.
It's a little crazy.
I'd have to intentionally write something in this scale. It would never occur to me to write a melody in this scale. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Anyway, thanks again, Sailesh, for writing in. And
yeah, that's a fun scale.
Sparking our imagination.
Absolutely.
And a fun mode, if I may, because it's mode time.
Yes, it's very modal. Is this a Phrygian mode?
Phrygian doesn't have a flat 6. Right?
Does it not?
I'm sorry, a flat 5.
Oh, yes. No, it does not. You're right.
I wish it was that simple.
Never mind. Yeah.
But that just goes to show how much time we spend with modes once we get out of the out of academia.
Right, yeah. Which spends almost no time in modes.
I wish I spent more, because it's part of soloing.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very important to soloing.
It's kind of unlocking the key to being able to travel different places
Yeah.
and get back to where you
And get back to where you were.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks again for our Patreon patrons and those who write in, and we appreciate your engagement, and we love to tell your stories to other musicians.
We appreciate you greatly.
Okay, so now this is something we haven't done in quite some time.
Yes.
This is what we call melodic dictation,
AKA Jeremy Torture.
aka Jeremy Torture. Some of you love the Jeremy Torture. I'm sure
It's very popular, the Jeremy Torture.
I'm sure some of you out there feel pity for me, but I haven't heard from you.
Doesn't seem like it.
No.
That's not the feedback we're getting, man.
No, not at all. But before we get into this, I do think we should recommend a few episodes to listen to. So, episode 5, way early on, we dug into the major scales and key signatures.
Absolutely.
Very important because that's going to be the point of reference that we use for all these modes, is the major scale or Aeolean mode.
Yes, there you go.
And then skipping forward to episode 8, we did the same thing with minor scales and key signatures.
Right, yep.
Or the Aeolean mode.
Yes.
And then moving on, I would say episode 23, we actually got into, that was melodic dictation part 1.
Right, yep.
We didn't focus on a particular scale or mode, but we did give a lot of good breakdowns and tips and tricks on how to identify these melodies.
We did.
Melody chatter in general.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had a continuation of that thread. Part 2 was the major scale.
Right.
Part 3 was Mixolydian.
Yes.
And now we are here at Dorian, and there's a reason that I kind of have been doing this kind of order.
Yes.
You know, most people are familiar with major, and then Mixolydian is just adding a flat to that.
Mm-hmm.
We only add one alteration. That's a flat 7.
Okay.
That's Mixolydian.
Yes.
Now, for the Dorian mode, which we're doing today, is only one alteration from the minor scale.
From the Aeolean mode, a.k.a. the natural minor scale. And that alteration is raising the 6 from a flat 6, half step above the 5, to a 6, a whole step above the 5.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So, and then the only other thing I'll say about episodes is episode 27, we actually did on modes, the diatonic modes. So we actually talk about all the modes and give a couple of examples.
Where they come from and all of that stuff, yeah.
And how to identify them and how to build them.
Exactly.
And how to identify the key signatures, as opposed to having to memorize all 84 or however many.
You don't want that.
Yeah, modes there are. All right. So let's talk Dorian. Let's get
talk Dorian.
Do you remember we called this the mullet mode?
I don't remember that.
I listen to these episodes a lot over and over again.
Do you ever get just dismayed at our silliness?
I don't. No, I don't.
No, of course not, because we're 100% professional.
Do cheese balls know they're being cheese balls, especially when they get older in advancing years?
I don't know. Probably.
Okay. Why did we call this the mullet mode? Because to me, it's business in the front, party in the back. Right?
Yeah,
it's a minor scale. The first half is minor.
Yeah, so it's kind of very, very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then on the sort of the top end, yeah, so it's less sad. So, and again, just to sort of reiterate sonically, the big difference between natural minor, the Aeolean mode, and what we call natural minor, and this is just the 6th note. So in natural minor, oops, we get this from 6 to 5.
Yeah, that half step.
Whereas in Dorian mode, we get this kind of a little dreamier kind of, right? Kind of stuff.
It's kind of dark, but not gloomy or morose. You know.
Yeah.
It's kind of serious. But
it reminds me of like I don't know, like Arthurian Knight legends or something for some reason. You know, it's sort of like a medieval English music or something.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's very,
because reasons, I don't know.
It's ancient.
It is ancient.
Wasn't it true that really before there was major and minor, there was Dorian?
There were the modes.
And Mixolydian.
Yeah.
Mainly, and then maybe there were the modes.
Yeah, and Dorian and Mixolydian were even sort of the most commonly used modes. back before equal temperament, check out our episode on that.
We did that.
These were the easiest modes to sing in, and they happen more often. So,
and I wonder why it's easier to sing in. Maybe because the sharp 6 comes before the flat 6 on the overtune series.
probably.
Maybe, I don't know.
That's as good a guess as any.
It's a theory. It's all theory, right? Music theory.
It's all a theory, yeah.
Speculate away.
They don't call it music law, do they?
Yeah. Well, no, they don't. Do you remember how we were talking about in the Mixolydian episode that if you're in a major key, you can actually solo with Mixolydian if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And it adds just a little bit of blues to it, just a little, that flat 7 adds just a little bit of interest to it.
Yeah.
In a similar fashion, if we're playing in a minor key, we can get away with soloing in Dorian.
Yeah.
Also. Now,
Yeah.
if we
Depending on chord changes and stuff. Yeah.
True that, because if you want to write a melody in Dorian, there's going to be some chord changes that you have to alter as well.
Yep.
Some chords you have to alter. And we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, so because the Dorian mode involves the alteration of scale degree 6, we might have to start thinking about some chord changes that we might need if we want to write a melody in Dorian and not have clashes with our harmonies.
Right, yeah. So any alteration of notes in the scale alters the chord qualities of your diatonic chords, right? The chords that you make just using notes of that scale. I'll do this in the reverse order because it makes. So you may remember in the natural minor mode. So 1 was minor, of course, right?
Yeah.
And then the chord built on scale degree 2 is actually diminished. Yeah, because flat 6 right here is the 5th of that chord, right? 2, 4, and 6 are the 2 chord. And then 3 was major. Yeah. And then 4 and 5 both minor. So 4, right? And then we get to 6, and this is the flat 6 of natural minor, and that's a major chord. Yeah. And then the major 7 chord before we get back to the 1. Yeah. That gets used a lot, right? That 1 down to major 7.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's a very emotional sort of chord progression.
It's like it kind of takes place of 1-5-1 a little bit in minor, doesn't it?
It absolutely can.
It kind of does.
It absolutely can. Yeah, especially in certain types of music, you know, certain folk music and things like that. And traditional musics, yeah, the natural 7, the flat 7 chord is kind of the dominant functioning chord.
Yeah.
Very often.
Yeah.
So anyway, comparing that to the Dorian mode, we find that 1 is still minor. And again, just to reiterate, what I'm doing is I'm taking the notes of this scale and using those to make chords, right? So we find that the 1 is still minor. Yeah. But now the 2, because this 6 has been raised, it's now also minor instead of diminished.
Yeah.
So you get a kind of different feel in that 2 chord. So we get to 3, and that's still major. Yeah, that hasn't changed at all. We get to the 4, and now this is now a major chord instead of a minor one.
Yeah.
Because again, that raised 6, which is the 3rd of the chord now, right? Is a major chord. 5 remains minor. And when we get to the 6, because it's raised in comparison with its 3rd and 5th, it is now a diminished chord.
Isn't that nuts?
Diminished 6, yeah. You don't really see that chord a lot in Dorian mode, but there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the 7 is still major, and then back to 1, which is still
minor.
So we still get that.
The most important little resolution
Absolutely.
is still available.
It's still available to us, yeah.
But to kind of recap a little bit, basically any chord that involves scale degree 6 will be an altered chord because we're altering the scale degree 6.
Absolutely.
We're sharpening it. We're
Absolutely.
raising it.
Yeah, we are raising it.
So that's going to involve. So we got the 1 chord that's 1-3-5, no problem, stays where it is. 2 chord, 2, 4, and 6. So as we heard, that is now a minor chord because the 6 was altered.
Right.
3, 3, 5, 7.
3, 5, 7 doesn't
Nothing.
change.
4.
4, 6, and 1.
And as we heard, that became a major chord because we raised the 6, which is the third of the 4 chord.
Right.
Good God, I hope you got that. You can rewind it if you want to.
Go back and rewind that, yeah.
And then the 5 chord.
5, 7, and 2 doesn't
where it's at.
doesn't get affected. And then the 6 chord, obviously, 6, 1, and 3, has become diminished because scale degree 6 has been raised in comparison to scale degree 1 and scale degree 3. So now it's a diminished chord.
And can this also act as a 7 of 7 in its own strange way?
We've dealt with this before about resolving to a diminished chord. Although in this case, this is resolving to a major chord. So I guess maybe you could think of it that way.
Because that sharp 6 would be the leading tone.
You could think of as let's see. So you could think of it as. That actually sounded really cool, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Especially like if you.
Oh, can you establish this one more time in the minor so I can kind of hear, so I can really hear that?
Let's do it this way. 1.
And
we're in Dorian mode, right?
Right.
So 1, and then 4, 5, and then 6. So we're going to.
Tense. 7, and then 2, 1. Funny.
That was kind of cool. Yeah, we're having fun now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway.
Good stuff. Okay.
That
before my brain trails off in making chord progressions.
Hey, yeah, don't give away all your secrets, man. Okay, so that's kind of an overview of the Dorian mode and the chords that we can build with it.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's time to go ahead and play a few examples.
Yes.
Before we get into the Jeremy torture, as it were.
Trying to avoid this, aren't you?
Yeah. Keep on pushing it. So our first example, I'm a big Pink Floyd fan.
Yes.
And one of the most well-known Pink Floyd tunes is Another Brick in the Wall.
Yes.
D minor.
Right.
We don't need no education. So on.
Yeah.
And then finally he says, teacher, leave them kids alone. Teacher, leave them kids alone. So we're a D minor, but instead of when we go to the 4 chord, when we go to hey teacher, leave those kids alone.
It's a major 4 chord.
We go to a major 4 chord instead of we're actually going to.
Yes.
So that's going to be a very common thing that you're going to see in the chord progressions that might hint at a Dorian tune.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, because it involves the raised 6 scale degree. Right?
Yes, and the melody, if you're just listening to the melody, it's just 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2 until the change up, but even then I don't think they hit the 6.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, no. So and then another one on that note. Breathe in the air.
Yeah.
E minor, A major. So we got a minor 1. Don't be afraid to care.
Yeah, right, yeah.
You got
old Pink Floyd songs.
Mm-hmm. And another big fan of this chord progression, minor 1 and major 4 is Santana.
Right.
Oye como va, like an A minor.
Yep.
You ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oye como va. Yeah. And I think you did the same one in Evil Ways. I think you got to watch. G minor and C.
C major, yeah.
Yeah. So you can find a lot of that in Santana's music.
Yeah.
More so than I expected, actually, because I'm looking up all these examples. I'm trying to Google examples,
Right, yeah.
I'm not going to sit there and listen to all the music in the world until I find a Dorian song, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, in episode 27, we talked about So What?
Right.
Miles Davis.
Right.
Right? And
yeah.
a cool thing about that is now we're hearing that 2 chord in there. So we a D Dorian. So what?
Yeah.
We start off with a D minor, and you play that melody.
Let's see if I can play that melody. Sorry. There you go.
Yeah. So he's playing the melody, and then the little call and response part is like 2 to 1.
Yeah.
1, 2, 1. But it's not a diminished 2.
No, it's minor too.
It's a minor 2.
Yeah.
A lot of people are familiar with Van Morrison, particularly the album that had the song Moon Dance on it.
Yep.
Brown Eyed Girl and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he had this one song, Moon Dance, which was A minor, B minor, and C, walking up and back down. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows that one, right?
Sure, yeah.
Well, the melody doesn't really go Dorian, I don't think.
Yeah.
But the chords. Again, we have a minor 1, a minor 2, a major 3,
Yeah.
and a minor 2.
Yeah.
Had it been diatonic.
Yeah. That would have been weird. That would have been weird.
Band
Yeah.
would not abide.
Yeah, but that raised 6 makes the 2 minor, and that's a little more palatable.
Just lightens it up a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway.
So,
Yeah.
moving on.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, I'm going to have a Beatles example in here at some point, right? We already did Pink Floyd, so now we got to do the Beatles. Eleanor Rigby. There's a brief moment in Eleanor Rigby where we have a sharp 6.
Yeah. It's very brief, but it's there.
You want to try and play it?
Yeah, let's try.
You got your chords?
Yeah.
All right. Eleanor Rigby, E minor or E Dorian, I guess you would say. You ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you hear the so it's basically Eleanor Rigby. Dun, 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 dun. So this note 7.
7, 6, 5.
7 sharp 6.
Yeah, it's a very common sort of motif in Dorian mode things is 5, 6, 7, 6, 5. Yeah, kind of going around the sort of yeah, because you kind of make that very very noticeable and obvious sort of minor key sort of motif around the 5.
Yeah.
Where in normal minor, it's got a different feel to it. Yeah, or whatever. Yeah.
At that point they switch
It's
back
back,
into
it's
minor.
back,
So
yeah.
it's almost like they're mixing modes a little bit because you have the that's the
Yeah.
Dorian, but then that's a flat.
That's
right?
natural minor. Yeah, to some
6,
extent,
5.
you can sort of move through these modes kind of fluidly, the way you move through natural and melodic and harmonic minor in classical music kind of fluidly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like we said, minor and Dorian, you can solo one or the other for the most part.
Absolutely, yeah.
And if you're moving fast enough, no one will notice.
No one will.
Okay, and then finally we have one more example before we get into it, before we get into the Jeremy torture. I keep on seeing Drunken Sailor as an example.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. Remember we were talking about Sam Pointer?
Yeah.
And he got a gig. He got us a gig in Chattanooga on the top of this mountain where this family had a cabin and they were having a hoedown, and they just wanted music from all over the place, different kind of stuff that everyone would like. So we covered a lot of ground, and then it was the end of the night. We'd played Elvis, Beatles, Pink Floyd, and then some folk stuff and the band. And then at the end of the night, Sam turns around and says, "We got one more song. They want one more. Let's do Drunken Sailor." And I was like, what? You would have ended with the Drunken Sailor? We'll see how that goes, you know?
Yeah.
And then we pulled it off and we did it, and the kids loved it, and because the kids love it, the grown-ups love it. Everyone was jumping around, doing jigs and dancing and having a grand old time with this crazy little song, Drunken Sailor. Na 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 na. It's if we start off on D, the A note is starting off, right? You got that
scale degree 5, yeah.
You got that melody,
Yeah.
Matt?
I think so, yeah.
I'll back you up. You ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4. So when does that happen in the walk down part, I guess?
Yeah, that raised 6 is sort of making a melodic motif out of this 5 chord, right? And, that sounds like 1 when you play, right? Like almost like we'd be in A minor.
Yeah, right.
But we are not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so another Irish one, another folky one is
Dorian Mode lives in a lot of Irish folk music. There's a lot of this Irish folk stuff that is compound time in Dorian Mode,
as is the Mixolydian mode too.
Mm-hmm.
So and I saw where the sea shanty was just as old as the 15th century.
Oh, sure.
So when they were doing Gregorian chants, there were other saltier folks on the ocean singing.
Well, Gregorian chant is older than that. But yeah, I take your meaning. Yeah, it's old stuff.
Yeah. Around the time before I even knew that that stuff was going on. But anyways,
hopefully.
So one more then, a fig 4 kiss.
Yes.
You got your chords over there. It's a slip jig.
It is a slip jig.
Slip jig is in 9/8, but we kind of counted it threes, like 1
yeah,
and a
it's
2
kind of
and a 2.
yeah, because it kind of so okay.
So this is E Dorian also. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Yeah, that's just the A section.
Yeah.
B section is even cooler, but it doesn't involve that Dorian thing. Is
right.
So 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun,
Again, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're starting to see some of the chord progressions, and also sort of the classic sort of melodic things that happen in Dorian Mode a lot.
Yes, and because I'm just using the 1 and 7 chord, there's no need for an alteration. I could have done the same thing with a minor melody.
Sure.
But because it's Dorian,
yeah,
it just has that lightness to it.
Okay. All right. Anyway.
Okay.
Yep.
So I think I've been putting this off long enough, haven't I, Matt?
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to get out of here at some point. I'm not going to keep on digressing to put off my Jeremy torture.
Jeremy would much rather play as Bazooki all day.
I would. But I guess we're gonna go ahead and get into this. So let's recap on how we kind of do this, right? We have you give me 5 listens.
I'll give you 5 listens.
Most generously. How do you recommend we use our listens?
So for the first listen or two, I would say just worry about rhythms.
Okay.
For the first couple, by listen 3. I am worrying about notes. And particularly if I can keep the tonic and dominant in my head. So, then everything else is going to be related to that, right? Especially in this particular mode.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in this particular mode, it's going to be particularly important for me to understand the difference between and.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So keep an eye out. And by the last listen, hopefully we have all the notes, and hopefully we are just reassuring ourselves of some of the problem spots, some of the questions. Listen 3, think, okay, there may be a couple of places where it could go one way or the other. By 4, we've decided, and hopefully by 5, we're just confirming some choices.
Confirming. I got a good one for number 2.
Yeah.
I would say maybe try and have a brief idea of the contour. Like
absolutely, absolutely.
What do we
contour
call
is good.
The arcing melody.
Yeah, the arc of the melody.
The arc of the melody.
The overall contour. Very, very good point.
So as I'm counting these, I might even draw a vague little penciled in, just very soft line. That what I think the melody's doing when it rises and falls.
Yeah.
And I'll use that for my second listen. Okay. So then, I have my click track.
Mm-hmm.
For my little app here, TE Tuner has this click track in it. And then what else? Okay, so you're gonna give me the starting note.
Yep.
And possibly the starting note value.
Possibly, well, I'll even give you the key. How about this? So we're in the key of D minor. Actually, D Dorian.
Yeah. Okay, that's easy enough.
Yep. And we are going to start on F.
So
scale degree 3.
So I'm gonna go ahead and write down. This is in 4/4.
This is in 2/4.
2/4. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then because we're in D Dorian, what we need to do is a quick, and I'll do this later on because it'll make more sense. But D Dorian is the second mode.
Yes.
Of the major scale.
Yes.
So if I want to find out what the key signature.
Yes.
Of a Dorian mode is.
Yes.
All I really need to do is go a whole step down.
Yep.
And then whatever that note is, it's going to be
that key signature.
The major key signature of that note.
Right.
So if I'm in D Dorian,
yes,
I go down a whole step.
Yes.
I land on C,
which is a key signature of
nothing.
No sharps or flats.
No sharps, no flats. So I'm happy about that.
All right. You ready?
Yeah, let me get my click track. So here we go. 2 measures of 2/4, and then we'll get into it.
All right.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Dun 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 dun.
Aren't you glad you didn't do 120?
Yeah. So what I thought I heard was, rhythmically speaking, we starting off on we got 2/4. Is that first thing 2 eighth notes, papa? Or is it even smaller?
It may be even smaller.
So it might be like a 16.
Maybe like 16. Ba.
Okay.
1 E, 2, and.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. So I'm gonna call this first one a 16th note, and the second one an 8th note, because it's a little bit longer.
Okay, but yeah, okay.
There might be a rest in there somewhere, huh?
Well, keep in mind, sort of engage your theory brain and think about how many beats you have versus how many you've used. So now you're a 16th off the beat if you just call it an 8th note.
Because there's 2 quarter notes in there, so there's room for 4 8th notes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so right in between the 8th note and the 16th note.
Yeah.
Okay, so this first measure, I'm hearing a very fast note. I'm hearing a da 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 da.
Yeah.
Da.
Yeah.
So this first note, if we're in 2/4, I'm going to call a 16th note, and then a dotted 8th note.
So
I think I'm getting like a rhythmic pattern that's kind of like ba 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 da ba ba.
Da. Yeah.
So at least I know that at the top of each measure, 1 and 2 and da da, we should be having that pattern at the top of each measure, or at least the first 2 measures.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't make a lot of progress on this first listen.
Want to hear it again?
Yes, please.
All right.
The metronome. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. And what was that first note you said?
It was F.
F. Okay, so if we're starting off F, da da is 2 Fs. Ba, ba, ba. We're in D, so that F is going to be the third. 3, 3, 2, 1 is what I thought I heard.
Very good.
Da, da, da. Na, 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 na. And I want to say that those last two notes are eighth notes, aren't they? Ba, ba, ba,
Yeah.
ba,
Yeah.
ba, ba,
There you go.
ba, ba. Okay, so I got the first measure. Amazing. Okay. Ba, 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 da, ba, da, da.
Yeah.
Ba, 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 da. So the first measure, so I got a 16th note F followed by a dotted eighth note F.
Yes.
That's the first beat.
Yep.
And then the second beat is G down to, E down to D.
Yes.
And that's the second beat of the second measure.
Yes.
Ba, 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 da.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're supposed to be worried about rhythms, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Da, 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 da. So second measure, 16th note, dotted eighth note, and a quarter note.
Yes.
And then that's the end of that measure.
That's the end of that measure.
Da, 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 da. Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Okay.
Listen to measure 3 and 4.
It's the same rhythm as measure 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's exactly the same rhythm.
How did I miss that? Okay, so, and then...
Sometimes don't overthink it.
Yeah, most times, I guess. Okay, so just to be sure here, measure 1, 16th note, then dotted eighth note, then 2 eighth notes.
Yep.
Measure 2, we have a 16th note, dotted eighth note, and then a quarter note.
Yes.
And then this measure 3 does the same thing as measure 1, and
Yes.
then measure 4 does the same thing as measure 2.
Rhythmically, at least.
Rhythmically speaking.
Yep. And then we get to that last measure.
And it's just like two notes.
Got that thing you don't like. Yeah, it's just like 2 notes.
Unnecessary 2 notes.
Two
Okay. And those are, I think, just 2 eighth notes.
8th notes, but remember the last one sort of kind of fills out the rest of the measure, right?
Oh, so it might actually be an eighth note and a dotted eighth note. Or eighth note and a dotted quarter note.
There you go.
Okay. Eighth note and a dotted quarter note. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of have to engage your theory brain a little bit as you're doing this, right?
Totally.
Think about rhythmic values and filling out measures and things like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the rhythmic value that the note lands on, but how long it lasts.
Right. And I use my second listen for rhythm too, but now I want to try and listen for the contour.
Okay.
On this
Okay.
33rd listen.
Ready?
Uh-huh. I hear the Dorian action, I think, in the third measure. Or the fourth measure.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same 2 notes at the start of the second measure? Is that F notes?
You tell me.
Okay, it does go up.
Yeah.
So the second measure is going to be 2 G's in a similar fashion.
G's?
Da, 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 da.
I'll let you in on a crucial mistake you're making.
What's that?
You're trying to sing up an interval.
Uh-huh.
And as much as interval recognition is important, our brains just don't work that way.
Uh-huh.
Remember when I said the very important thing here was to keep the tonic and the dominant in your head?
Mm-hmm.
I keep, and then, so.
Yeah. That's the 5.
Mm-hmm.
So that note I thought was the 5, but then the first 2 notes of the second measure I wasn't quite sure about.
Yeah, right. If you can keep tonic and dominant in your head, you can trust your instincts.
Yeah.
Right. But I see a lot of people, especially late these days, sort of mess up by trying to go up a minor second and down a major third and up a like that. And your brain doesn't really work that way.
Yeah.
Your brain is really taught to think in terms of tonic and dominant, really.
Yeah. Okay. So we're in D. We're starting off on F.
Mm.
Da, 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 da. That's an A?
That's an A.
Okay. Ba, 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 da, ba, ba. So second measure, same rhythmic pattern, but we're going to start on the 5th.
Yep.
So we have A in the key of D.
Mm.
And then I guess it goes up to the octave.
Yep.
Da, da. 5 to 1.
5-1.
And that would be and that's a quarter note.
Mm-hmm.
D. Okay. Okay, then the next measure, the third measure.
The third measure, so do you need to hear it again?
Yeah.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay, so the third measure has that same rhythmic pattern we're talking about with the 16th note and the dotted 8th note.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is where I think there's some this Dorian-ishness happens.
Right, yeah, well, we jumped up to that octave, and then we kind of came back down, right?
But down through the 7th.
Yeah, 7.
7, 6, 5.
Yeah.
7, 6, 5.
That classic Dorian mode sound.
Yeah. Cool. So third measure is going to be... Okay, so we got the 8th notes. 5, 7, 7, 6, 5. That's the whole third measure.
Yep.
7, 7, 6, 5. 4, 4, back, and then back to 5.
And then back to 5.
4, and then back to 5. Da 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 da.
Yeah, there you go.
4, 4, 5.
Yep.
And then this weird little thing in the last measure.
Yep.
I can't
And
remember.
it kind of sounds like we fall back on Do, right?
Mm-hmm. 2, 1.
Well, the only thing we've got to figure out there is what that penultimate note is. Sing down the scale.
Na, na,
Mm-hmm.
3.
There you go.
1. 3, 1. So F and then D.
Yeah.
And those are da, da, da. 2 8th notes. Or an 8th note and a
Dotted quarter.
dotted quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right then. Okay, let's have one more listen so I can kind of confirm this and write in my little notes as I go, because I've been doing a hybrid of numbers and notes on this page here.
All right. Ready. Here we go.
Uh-huh.
Right. Here you go. 1, 2. Oh, sorry. Click track. Yeah.
No, no.
Yeah.
Okay, D. Okay.
So what do you think?
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
First measure.
Yep.
16th note F, 8th dotted 8th note F, and then down to E to D, and those are 2 8th notes.
Yep.
Second measure. Again, we have a 16th note, but this is going to be on C. Yeah. The 5th.
A.
A, yeah. Okay. So I'm reading it as if it was a bottom of the bass clef. Okay, so then at the top of the second measure, we have the same rhythmic pattern where but we're going to A instead. We have 2 A's, 16th note, and a dotted 8th note. And then it goes way up to this D octave. Yeah. Third measure, and that's going to be a quarter note.
Right.
Because we're in 2/4. Third measure, we have the same rhythmic pattern as the first measure. And this is where the Dorianishness happens. And I heard that when I heard it, I heard it. We start off with the 7, which is C. And that's, again, a 16th note and a dotted 8th note. And then 6/5, sharp 6/5, or Dorian 5. Yeah, 6/5.
Natural 6 in this case, yeah.
Natural 6. Yeah, raised 6, I guess.
Yeah.
From the minor.
Yep.
And those are 2 8th notes.
Mm-hmm.
6/5. And then the fourth measure, we have the G A, which is 4/4/5, and the same rhythmic pattern, the da da da.
Yeah.
16th note, dotted 8th note, and then a quarter note.
Yep.
And then the very last measure, measure 5, it just does this little F to D, and that F was an 8th note, and that D was to fill out the rest of the measure.
Right, yeah. Dotted quarter.
note. Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Nice.
And you see that some of the challenge is keeping 1 and 5 separate in your brain.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you've got this, like we were saying before, that could easily be just A minor.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not. So keeping those notes is where the real challenge is. Well,
Nice.
yeah.
Well, that was not as easy as I'd hoped it was,
Yeah, well.
but we must press on.
Indeed. They get easier.
They do.
Practice makes perfect. All
Practice.
right. Ready for another one?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is going to be in G Dorian. So,
Nice. I heard that major 4 chord in there.
yeah, buddy. Yeah. Kind of has a sort of almost a epic sound to it, Dorian, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Epic in the sense of like sort of telling a story. Like, I will tell you a tale of
The days of yore.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Okay, so let me make sure I got this down. So you say we're in G Dorian.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go ahead and prepare this by establishing a key signature.
Okay.
So I don't have to worry about writing accidentals the whole way, right?
Okay. Yep. I would do that.
So we recognize Dorian is the second mode of any major
Right.
scale. Second mode being a whole step up from the tonic or from the
Right.
root, what we would call the 1.
Right. Yep.
G is a whole step up from F.
Right.
So might we say that G Dorian shares the same key signature with F major?
It does indeed.
And that would be 1 flat, B flat.
1 flat and it's B flat.
So I will write that down. And we're in 2-4, you say?
2-4, and I'll go ahead and even give you another hint. The first note is that you don't really call it the tonic or the mode. Technically, it's the final of the mode.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Interesting little semantic thing. So we're on the final of the mode, which is G.
First note G.
And that first note is an 8th note pickup.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, it'll be 4 measures, but really a pickup measure.
Yeah, pickup
there.
measure. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay, well, I got my 8th note on G, and then I guess we're ready to hear the rest of it.
All right, let's see what happens.
All right, here's your little click track.
Uh-huh.
Turning it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, huh?
Yes.
This time I'm going to try and sing it. Na, na, da, na, 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 da, na, na. Was there a pickup in that other measure?
I don't know.
Well, either way, I know that the first measure is 1, 2, ba, 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 ba.
Yeah.
Right?
Except I may have done something a little weird.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't hear that. Okay.
Piano. It's not my strong suit, right?
Right. Well, I'm going to go and try and make an arch that kind of demonstrates this. The first measure is going to kind of go up and back down.
Mm-hmm.
And then second measure, I think it continued down.
Yep.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, 1 and 2, right? So what would be the rhythm of that second measure?
1 and 2. Da, da, da. 2 eighth notes.
Mm-hmm.
And then a quarter note.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So I got measure 1. Da, 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 da.
Yeah. Remember, you're in 2 now, so there's only 2 beats.
Yeah, okay. Da, 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 da. Man, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've talked about it a little bit. I think I'm getting the melody and the rhythms in my head a little bit,
Good.
but I haven't written down a whole lot for notes.
That's okay.
So maybe we'll just hear it again then, huh?
All right, yeah, let's do it again. And I'll
Okay.
try to stay on the metronome a little better this time.
No worries. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Da, da, da. So the first measure, we're going to have 1/8 note, 2/8 notes.
Mm-hmm.
Da, 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 da. So 3/8 notes and then 2/16.
Very good.
Awesome. Already feeling better about this one. Okay. And then we said the second measure was just 2/8 notes and a quarter note.
Yes.
And then I lost it again on the other last two measures. But I think it was like ba 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 ba. Okay. And so I want to say it's the same little pickup note. But I could be wrong. Maybe I should listen again.
Want to listen again?
Well, let's listen. I think I have the notes for each measure established at this point. So first measure, we have the pickup of an 1/8 note.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 3/8 notes and then 2/16 notes.
Uh-huh.
That makes 2, 4.
1 and 2 and yep.
And then the second measure, we have 2/8 notes and a quarter note.
1 and 2.
And yeah. And then I want to say that there's similar melodic, rhythmic structure to the third measure as there was in the first measure.
Sure.
So for the third measure, I'm going to go ahead and say, again, 2/8 notes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, 3/8 notes,
Mm-hmm.
and then 2/16 notes.
Was there a 16th note that second time, though?
I wasn't positive. I'll have to listen for that.
Okay.
But I'll pencil that in.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, let's hear the third listen. I think I'm getting kind of close, even though I haven't really entered a lot of notes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the melody is sinking into your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even if you're not dictating notes yet.
Hopefully. My brain can be a little protective over what it lets in.
That's probably a good thing.
If I had control over it. Okay, one more again then. Let me get my little metronome. Third listen. Really, I should have, by the end of this one, I should probably have my melodies kind of written down.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. And I wasn't listening as good as I could have been, but so we'll go ahead and get these notes here.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so the first measure, we got that G pickup note.
Mm-hmm.
First note, G, 8th note.
Mm-hmm.
Second note, moving up the scale, we will have a A,
Mm-hmm.
and then that B flat,
B flat.
and then these 2/16 notes at the end, I think, are starting to head back down. Bum, 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 bum. Back down to the 2, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Back down to A
Yep.
for those 2/16 notes.
Yep.
And then bum, 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 bum,
Yeah.
bum. So 1, 7,
Yep.
6.
Yep.
And ending on that 6, which is
A quarter note.
that
Yeah.
Dorian fella.
Yeah. Natural 6, right? So not E flat like in G minor, but E natural because we're in Dorian.
E natural. Oops. I need to write that properly. E natural. And that would be a quarter note.
Yes.
No flags on that bad boy. And then the 2/8 notes leading up to it. Okay. So I got the first two measures, I think. Rhythm.
Half done. More than half, really.
Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
That was the end, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, heck. It's kind of a similar thing, only without the last note, I think. So, third measure. Maybe I should listen again to make sure that pickup note is in there, right? It might not be in there.
Yeah, listen for that pickup note and see if it's in there this
pickup
time.
note leading into the third measure that I may have just fabricated myself. Let's hear it. Okay, you ready?
Well, think about it this way. If there were a pickup note leading into the third measure, then that quarter note could not be a quarter note, right? It'd have to be an eighth or a dotted eighth or something.
Right, yeah. Even though I
Yeah.
called it a quarter note, yeah.
And we've already called it a quarter note. So I mean, we can go back and make it something else.
If we have to.
Yeah, the question is that next note coming on the downbeat? And if so, then that's just a quarter note.
Okay. Well, shall we listen for that?
Yes.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Aha. Okay, great. No pickup.
No pickup.
G, A, B flat, A, G.
Very nice.
And then da da da. So these are eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 1.
Yes.
And so that 1 actually lands on the next measure,
Yep.
the last measure,
The last measure.
making the adjustments. And that would be, I guess, a whole note, right? Unless otherwise.
Well, a whole note doesn't fit into 2/4.
In which case, the whole note, my whole note is actually a half note, right?
It's actually a half note.
Because whole note would be 2
I am the
measures.
world's worst at the last measure when playing these.
Uh-huh.
So I try to give people a break. Technically, that would probably be a quarter note and an eighth note rest, right?
Right.
To compensate for the pickup at the beginning,
Oh, interesting.
which is kind of an antiquated kind of thing, right?
Interesting.
But it happens.
Well,
Not that I played it that well, so well, that's not your fault.
if it's in the Dorian mode, we can expect some antiquated.
Absolutely,
Techniques, maybe.
absolutely.
Okay, so I think I'm ready to go ahead and call this out.
Okay,
Okay, so first measure. Okay, first of all, obviously we have a pickup measure,
pickup measure.
which is a eighth note on G.
Mm-hmm.
First measure after the pickup, we have eighth notes G, A, B flat,
Mm-hmm.
2 16th notes on the A.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first measure.
Mm-hmm.
Second measure, eighth notes moving G to F to E natural.
Mm-hmm.
And then that E natural, we're going to call a quarter note.
Quarter note.
So now we have 2 eighths and a quarter. That's a full measure.
Mm-hmm.
Third measure, moving back up, kind of like we did.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 eighth notes, G, A,
Mm-hmm.
and then 2 more eighth notes, B flat, back down to A,
Mm-hmm.
landing on the fourth measure with a half note, potentially a, what do you say, quarter note?
Quarter
and a
note,
rest.
eighth rest. Yeah.
Depending on whether you lifted your finger off the note at the very end
At
of
the
the
very
measure.
exact time, and I'm not particularly good at that. So.
And I'm not particularly good at listening for that. So I think we got it, man.
Yeah, I think we do too. 1, 2, and 1 and 2 and a 1 and 2
And
1 and 2 and 1.
and 2.
Yeah,
Nice, man.
very nice. Very good work. See, these do get easier.
That was easier than the first one. I don't know why. Those last two, the last measure of the first one was just weird for me. You know, those 2 little notes that ended the 3 to 1.
Yeah. That was a little strange, but
Mm-hmm.
hey, that was a melody from Bella Bartok. He could be a weird guy.
Yeah. I'm not gonna question Bella.
You want to do one more?
I think we got time for one more.
Okay, so this time I do believe we'll be in E Dorian.
E Dorian, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Shall I go through the? Is there a pickup measure?
Well, I'll get to that.
Okay.
So we're in E Dorian.
Yes, sir.
Tonic note. So we're going to be in E major
Mhm.
in the treble clef, and we're going to be in 6/8 time.
Oh boy. Okay.
Which I know you love that.
I actually am quite fond of the 6/8, me being a jiggy kind of fellow for the Irish music.
Yep. And again, there is a pickup measure.
Okay.
And again, it is an eighth note on the final of the mode, E.
Okay, and we're
That-
not calling it the tonic, right? We're calling it the final.
We're calling it the final, yeah. There's a little thing. So when you're really, really, really into music theory, when you're really, really into tonal, when you're really into tonal harmony, you're going to have this little kind of pet peeve because the way the modes are shifted away from the tonic of the major scale
Mhm.
means that your tendency tones from the major scale don't line up right.
Right.
So people will tell you, well, you can't call that tonic because your tendency tones aren't lining up properly to pull you towards, you don't have any raised 7 in Dorian, for example, to pull you to the appropriate. So you can't call it tonic. Now you just have to call it the final. The note, the mode is sort of stuff off.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, and I know today is all Dorian, but you try and find a tonic in that Locrian. There's no 5, there's no perfect 5th.
Right.
And there's no tonic, there's no leading tone 7th at all.
Yeah, and we've even seen before in modes like Lydian, it can be tough to hear the final as a tonic, right? Yeah. I don't like to argue semantics if I don't have to, but yeah, that is kind of a thing.
That's good.
Anyway, the final of this mode.
I should go ahead and figure out the Dorian Key Signature, right?
You should, yeah. That'll help you.
So again, Dorian being the second.
Second mode. So we're looking for the major scale of which our final is the second note. Right.
And E is the second note of D.
Exactly.
D major.
D major.
Which is 2
sharps.
F sharp and C sharp.
And those sharps are F sharp and C sharp.
Because we're in treble, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Well, even if we were in bass, it'd still be F sharp. You would just have to put them somewhere different.
Yeah, right. Oh, man, I didn't get
Don't you just love talking to me sometimes?
I'm still on a melatonin hangover from last night.
Good stuff. Okay. All right.
So my pickup note is going to be this E.
Yes.
And you said that's a 8th note?
That's an 8th note.
Okay, great.
And we're in 6/8 this time.
6/8, very good. Okay, let me get my little metronome here. Okay, so we have established we are in E Dorian.
We are in E Dorian.
Okay, I think, is there any tricks you want to share for this last one? Did you say there's... I've noticed one thing that, like, these last 2 exercises, the rhythmic material in measures 1 and 3 are often similar, whereas the rhythmic material in measures 2 and 4 seem... You can't count on that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good thing to notice. Being in 6/8, all of the rhythmic material is often, unless you get into really complicated melodies. Some of the basic melodies, when you're in 6/8, they kind of do the same quarter eighth thing a lot, right? That's kind of the signature rhythm of 6/8. But dot 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 dot. And they'll do 3/8 notes on a beat. Occasionally, but so that's kind of the thing to be watching out for in a compound time. Other tricks, keep the final in your head. In fact, it probably helps if you can sing do. And also sing sol, do. Yeah, being able to have those 2 notes sort of in your ears while you're listening is going to be very helpful.
While everything else is going on.
Yeah, while everything else is going on. Yeah, somewhere in the back of your brain, do and sol should be there.
Cling tenaciously.
Yeah.
To those notes.
Cling tenaciously, yeah.
Okay, shall we?
Yes.
Here comes our 6/8, 60 BPM.
Yep.
For my sake and for your sake, and for our listeners. Stand by.
Pretty good.
Is that close?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So we cut you a break on the rhythm here.
Oh yeah. Da 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 da. Oh, thank you, Matt. You're a beautiful person.
Yeah, I do start to feel sympathy eventually, I guess.
Okay. So first measure.
Yes.
I guess we'll get these rhythms here.
Yep.
So we decide it's ba 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 ba. So 1, 2, 3, ba. Okay, so first measure we have ourselves a quarter note. And that will be on the 5th. I want to say that we went from 1 to 5.
Yeah. Well, let's just establish rhythms first.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I'm getting ahead of myself. You're right. Okay.
That's a sign you're getting better at it, but yeah.
I'm multitasking to some degree.
Exactly.
Great. Well, I'm just going to keep on writing. So measure 1, and really all the other measures.
All the other measures.
We have a quarter note followed by an 8th note, followed by a quarter note, followed by an 8th note.
Yes.
And that makes 6 beats altogether.
And that's for the next 3 measures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that same rhythm.
So that nails the rhythm. That knocks
Yeah.
out the rhythm. And
Yeah, and then that fourth measure is just the downbeat and then sustained, right?
yes. Same deal where we just have the one note for the whole measure.
Yep.
So we could call that
What's a whole measure of 6/8?
I'm going to take a second. A whole measure of 6/8. That should be a dotted half note.
Right. A dotted half note is equal to 2 dotted quarter notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's 2 dotted quarter notes on the 1 and 4 of, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3/8 notes and then 3/8 notes. 2 dotted quarter notes and then 2 dotted quarter notes combined as a dotted half note if you want to have a note sustained through the entire measure.
Okay.
Although if we were doing that pickup measure thing, I guess we'd have a dotted quarter note tied to a quarter note, and that would be the end of the measure. It'd be incomplete because that final eighth would be at the beginning.
To compensate for the pickup.
Right, but I digress.
Yeah.
I digress.
That's all right. It's all useful digressions.
I hope so.
Today.
I hope so.
Okay, so let me go ahead and finish jotting this out. And then the final measure, we're just going to call for right now a dotted half note.
Sure.
And then
I'm okay with that. Your oral skills instructor, ladies and gentlemen, might not be okay with that, but, I'm okay with that for the moment.
Matt is a little merciful today.
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell him. I wouldn't dare. Okay, so we got the rhythms on the first listen. How great.
How great. Yeah.
Okay, then I guess I'm ready for my second one.
Okay.
This sounds kind of familiar, this tune. Okay, so, 1, 5.
Very good.
5. Okay, 9, and then another 5.
Mhm.
Okay, I think I got the first measure on these notes here.
Okay.
So after our little pickup note, which was the E,
Mhm.
first measure we have D, B, B. So a quarter note B,
Mm-hmm.
an eighth note B,
Mm-hmm.
down
Mm-hmm.
to a quarter note A,
Yep.
and an eighth note A.
Yep.
Bum, 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 bum. Second measure, I believe we actually just go right back up to that 5.
Mm-hmm.
Bum, bum, bum.
Mm-hmm.
Bum, 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 bum.
And what is that?
I want to say that goes back down to 1.
Yep.
Okay, so B, quarter note, B, eighth note, E1,
Mm-hmm.
quarter note. Na. Okay, and then so quarter note E, and then the last note of the second measure will be an eighth note E,
Mm-hmm.
in that pickup note fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And since I think I still have this melody in my head,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to jot down what I think it is, but I'm going to listen to the...
Good plan.
We'll do the third listen, and then I'll make a declaration, so to
Okay.
speak.
Okay.
So give me 1 second here. Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, third listen.
Third listen.
And I didn't really write my contours because I actually memorized it.
There you go. There you go.
Here we go. Ready?
Yep.
So that's where I messed up. It's not 2. For third measure, there's actually not 2 B's in a row. It's B. Dun, 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 dun.
I love this. This is exactly the kind of mental processes that makes this successful.
I'm singing out loud what I should be singing to myself, right?
I've had classrooms where you can hear a low-grade hum from like 20 people trying to hum to themselves, and yeah, it's a thing.
Is it relaxing at all?
No.
Okay, so I feel like we end on 1. The fourth measure is going to be a dotted quarter note of 1. This third measure is where something strange happens. So I think I'm hearing boom, bum, boom, bum, bum, bum. I don't think it goes all the way down to the tonic. Maybe it's just to the third. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. That's probably the one challenging part of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one guy.
Yeah.
Well, shall I try and see what I have here?
Yes.
Okay.
Remember little hint. Remember my advice from the beginning of keeping 1 and 5.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you should be able to sing. You should be able to stop anywhere and sing 5, right?
Is that 5? No. Okay, that's
Yep,
cool.
very good.
That's cool. Na, 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 na. Okay, 5-4-5. I think. Okay, so third measure, quarter note B. I guess that would be B. And then down an eighth note to A. And then moving up a third, skipping up to that 6, which would be oh my God, it's right there in front of me. C sharp. And then down to B. No. I end on the tonic. Na 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 na.
Sing down.
Na, na, na. Can I sing down?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I can. So it ends on the 3rd. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I think you might have one final adjustment to make.
Okay.
Well, let's see.
Shall I listen one more time?
Yes.
Or shall I read it out to you?
Let's listen one more time.
Okay.
You've got a couple of listens banked here.
Oh, yeah, I do. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
4, 5, 6, 2, 2. Did you hear what I missed? Did I miss something? Okay, let me just see what I have and see.
Okay.
So third measure again.
Yes.
Is this is the problem measure for me apparently?
Yep.
First note is gonna be a B. Dun, dun, dun. B to A to C sharp. And it's okay. So B quarter note, A eighth note, up C sharp quarter note.
Yep.
Na, na. And B eighth note. And then landing on G. G, straight up G.
Okay.
With a dotted quarter note.
Okay.
On measure 4.
All right. So if I play what you said, and we compare it to the original melody.
Please. Ooh! Okay. So maybe I undershot that a little bit.
Yeah.
Na, 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 na.
Yeah.
Na, na. It ends on the 5.
Yes.
It ends on the 5.
Yes, it sure does.
A gun. Son of a gun. Trying to be family friendly here. So instead of that second beat being a C sharp, we're gonna bring that up to a D.
You're gonna bring that up to a D.
D, and then so second beat quarter note D.
Yep.
Eighth note C sharp.
Yep.
And then landing on B.
Our dotted half note is B.
Yeah. Okay.
So if I then play that. That was it.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Very nice.
One tiny little one tiny little miscalculation can really mess you up.
It really can.
Yeah. That's why it's so difficult to do these when you're just trying to think interval. Was that up a 6? Was that up a 4th? Or right?
Yeah, it's like you have to anchor yourself with that.
You have to anchor
tonic.
yourself. Yeah, like so if when you can hear so, and I heard you go, and so because you knew where so was, right? Or scale degree 5.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that is really the real trick.
Yeah.
Right. And once you realize, well, if it ends on 5, then the thing that happened before that was just an approach down, right? A descent down to 5.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing that might be helpful to know is one of the classic little sort of melodic motifs associated with Dorian Mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're just hanging out on that that 5, and because this is this 6 here, the C sharp, and because it's been raised like that, we get this thing that mirrors the first 3 notes of a minor scale, right? Which can confuse you and can make the scale degree 5 sound like scale degree 1.
Yeah.
So and which is something that composers have liked to play with. So that is one of the classic little. So if you know that, you can learn to sort of recognize those little motifs, right? And recognize, well, if you're in Dorian mode, you can almost expect one of these. Yeah. Or in number language, 7, 6, 1.
Yeah.
Or 5. Sorry, 7, 6, 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So there's 3 examples.
3 beautiful examples of the Dorian mode.
The Jeremy torture has come to an end
for the moment.
For the moment.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a couple of questions before we get out of here.
Yep.
What about solfege for modes? Is that a thing? Can you sing solfege on modes?
You absolutely can. And you've probably heard me sort of half doing it. If it, do, so, fa, so, do, so, fa, te, la, sol. It's just the same syllables you always learn.
Okay, so you're saying te instead of t because that's a flat 7.
Exactly. Okay. And la instead of lay because it's the major 6.
Got it. Right,
yeah.
So you can do that.
Yeah, if you're in Phrygian mode, you're going to have a ra, right? Ra, do.
Ra being the flat of re.
Right, ra being the lowered 2.
Yeah.
And
would re be a sharp?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, and phi is the sharp 4, and that happens. That happens in Lydian, but it happens much more famously in secondary dominance, the 5 of 5 chord, right? Sharp's the 4th scale degree, and moves it up to 5. So.
And I don't think any of these modes feature a flat 4, do they? Not until you get into the crazy
flat 4. Yeah, no, flat 4 is an inharmonic equivalent of 3 in the major scale, right?
Sure.
So you won't see that a whole lot.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I guess it would be Fe.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Fe. I've honestly never seen that.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about.
Yeah, so there you go.
Well, where we would normally do a recap, maybe we could just talk about some of the tools we used, some of the things we used to get to where we're at here for some of these.
Yes. So get the rhythms first. Keep the final in the back of your head. Really orient yourself to the key. When somebody says, okay, well, this is in E minor, and you see me kind of doing this nice little chord progression to. I think do me re do te re do so te la so do me re do. Just get myself in. I do those. I kind of improvise around just to get myself in that key.
It's kind of swimming around in the river of Dorian.
Yeah.
Take a little dip.
Yeah, get your ears tuned into E Dorian. Remember where do and sol are as you listen. And everything is either do, sol, or somewhere between those, right? To the extent that you can remember the scale degree 3, that's good too. But really, 1 and 5, try to keep those in your head.
And you told me that many times, and when I finally did it, it actually worked.
It finally worked. Yeah.
This guy knows what he's talking about.
Not my first rodeo. So yeah, and that is basically it. And then once you have your rhythms straight, use the last couple of listens to check yourself. Question yourself. Sing it back to yourself. Sing what you have and see if it matches that. If you just don't know where a note is, if it just feels like it's out in space and you don't know what note that is, sing down the scale until you hit 1, and then you will have a sense of where that is away from 1, and then that's it's going to be very helpful. Or if it's at a high note, you can sing up to 1 or down to 5, but sing down the scale to keep yourself oriented.
Right. I find that I can pretty easily sing down from the 3rd. Sometimes the 5th, I get a little bit of confusion. You know what I mean? I want to stop at the 3rd. you know?
Yeah, because the third is sort of a consonants, right? So you kind of want to stop at the consonants.
Yeah.
Keep one in your head and stop when you hit that one that's in your head. Right?
You got it in your head, you should be able to do that, ideally.
Yeah. And this takes practice. Keeping one in your head takes practice, you know.
And I think it might be useful to, if you're trying to anchor yourself in E Dorian, for example, you would hit E minor, A major.
Absolutely.
For a 1/4. You try and stick to the same. You try and honor that raised sixth.
Right. Yeah. If I was instead trying to orient myself to E Phrygian. Do me rado te rado. You know. And I'm centering more around Ra than I normally would, because I know the point of being in E Phrygian is to give you a Ra, so you're guaranteed to get one, right?
Yeah.
You know, rado, te rado, so rado. And get good and oriented that way.
Yeah, it's interesting. Phrygian was also one of the first kind of church modes, wasn't it?
Yes.
I just can't think of anything that I could. Not that I'm hugely familiar with ancient church.
You can't think of anything in Phrygian mode?
No, but then what can I,
Palestrina's, was it Palestrina or Joscan? It may have been Joscan's Pange Lingua Mass.
Okay.
It's based on, the Cantus Firmus is based on a Dorian mode. Pange Lingua.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, it happens.
Go listen to it. Okay.
Yeah, go listen to it. And I think it's Joscan, but correct me on that if I'm wrong. The Pange Lingua Mass. Yeah.
We covered that one in history, I believe.
Missa Pange Lingua. Probably is famous. So you would think I would remember who flipping composed it. But it was either Joscan or Palestrina. It was one of those two guys. And I'm leaning towards Joscan.
Right on. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, Dorian mode, the party, the business in the front, the party in the back.
The mullet mode.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I think Jeremy Torture is pretty popular. I think that,
More so than I wish it was.
All right, and we will see you again very soon.
There's still a few more modes to go. So keep on listening to those melodies. If you'd like to support us, click on the donate button on our homepage at musicstudent101.com or visit patreon.com/musicstudent101. You can find t-shirts and other assorted merchandise at redbubble.com. And for questions or comments, email us at info@musicstudent101.com.